So, remember when we were trying to start the motor and it only ran for about 5 seconds? The reason it stopped running is because these teeth right here broke off. These teeth, they mesh in with the, I believe, the camshaft, and right in here is where the distributor sticks into that slot right in there. That's where the distributor goes in. So when this snapped off, the distributor stopped turning and obviously the motor stopped running. So this is the oil pump, and so that's what happened. That's why it quit. So definitely need another one of those. I'm sure I'll find the broken teeth probably down in the oil pan down here when I get the oil pan off. Which is actually coming up here pretty soon. I'll be taking that off. Okay, I got the oil pan off. Some chunks in there. But that's just from years of being open, like the oil dipstick tube. Or I'm sorry, the oil fill tube was open for years, stuffed with a rag, but sometimes open. And no telling what's down in the pool down there. I have to empty it still, but there's the oil pickup. It's interesting, somebody's been in here on it with some vice grips, obviously. But there is the crank. So as soon as I get this cleaned up a little bit and get the oil pickup tube or oil pickup off of here, I'll get the motor flipped upside down so that I can start taking a look at the crank. So just for fun, take a look at this amount of sludge. There's also a lot of chunks of parts in here. I don't even know what that is. That might be the fuel pump. The piece that the fuel pump runs off of, because I think the fuel pump arms were broken. There's a, it looks like a spring or a bolt or something. No, it's a spring from something. This is pretty funny. Nasty sludge. I'm looking for those teeth. Yeah, I think I found a tooth right there. That's another chunk of the fuel pump, I think. Yeah. Pretty gross. Pretty gross. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm finding little chunks of teeth off that oil pump. Really curious what this spring is. That's a spring for sure. That's really weird. But anyway, thought I'd show you that because I thought that was kind of crazy. Yuck. Alright, I had to use some vice grips, just like the last guy apparently did, just to kind of get this oil tube broken loose, or pickup tube. But I did get it, so I think I can maybe get the rest by hand. Get the rest of the way out. Yeah, there it goes. Cool. So that is the oil pickup. Wow, looks like it's banged up too. That's interesting. So I'll have to clean it up and see if it can be disassembled and cleaned up, and then if I can bend all the denting out of there. I wonder what could possibly cause the denting. And then the transfer tube, I'm going to go ahead and get it out right now too. Thankfully the transfer tube actually has nuts on it, so I can use a wrench. Wow, that's tight. There it goes. Whew. That's tight. Okay, now we're going to take the cam sprocket off. Probably the same size. Yep. Go. Cam sprocket off, chain is off. Honestly, it doesn't look that bad. Wow. Yeah, a little bit of leakage. God, this engine stand is not the best. Oh, God. That might be a good place for me to work on the valves. Okay, so I took the first one out to see how easy it would be, and I actually don't need a spring compressor for getting these springs and valves out. So I already did the first one, and I will record me doing the next one. And the next one's actually the intake for cylinder number, I believe 6. I think it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I took the exhaust valve out, spring, valve, keepers, all that stuff out for exhaust number 6. Now I'm going to do intake number 6, and I put the intake back up on here just so that I can kind of remember what's going on, because it feeds into 2-cylinder. Each intake port feeds into 2 cylinders. So I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing here, because you go exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, like that. So it's kind of, just want to make sure I keep them straight, because I pre-labeled some bags, some baggies, so I can bag and tag every single one of them in order, make sure I know exactly where each one of them came from, in case I need to refer back to some kind of problem or something. So this is how easy it is. I just got a pair of real simple angled needle nose, but I think I'm going to bring the camera down here. So I got my little magnet. So what I'm doing is I'm just prying the spring up with these pliers. Oops. As far as I can get it. And this one's a little bit more tricky than that first one. Let's see. About like that, and then I grab the hammer and knock the, oh, the valve doesn't want to move. I gotta get that valve to, there it goes. Okay, it broke loose at least. Looks like it might have been stuck. Okay, there we go. Oh, the keeper fell out right away. Grab it with my magnet. Got that keeper. The other keeper looks like it fell out down there too, so it should be good to go. Yep, got both those keepers right there. Need my rag just a second here. Okay. Now I should be able to pull the valve out. Just get it to pop up so I can grab it from behind here. And there it goes. There's the valve. Not a whole lot of carbon. There's a lot of carbon on there, but for being as old as it is, the carbon buildup doesn't seem that bad. But I'm a novice, so who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's a lot. So now we're going to try to get the spring up out of here. without a spring compressor, it's not as easy as it could be. Okay, get that out. There we go. That and there it goes. There's the spring. Then the tappet is right there. That'll come out most likely when I take the camshaft out. That's it. Springs are out. Valves are out. Well, 2 of them so far, but I'm not going to film me taking all of them out. That would bore you guys, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll come back to you after I'm done with all 12. Alright, we're going to take off the piston rods off the crank. Different size. Nope. Where am I at? Okay. And I can't turn the crank because when we put it on this engine stand, these studs right here on the back end of the motor hit the engine stand mount. So unfortunately, I can't spin the motor over at all. Move the pistons, move the camshaft or the crank or anything. So that's where I'm stuck until I get things taken far enough apart, because I got most of the valve springs and valves out, but the some of them are on the up or the upstroke, and springs are too tight for me to compress them to get them off. So I have to take the crank out in order to be able to spin the camshaft so that I can get the rest of them out. I'm using my magnet to try to get those washers off. And just like everything else, I'm going to bag and tag things in their original order, because I do know that you have a specific direction that the piston rods go in. So there's a number 1 type rod and a number 2 type rod, and they face a specific direction. So be careful to make sure I take note of all that kind of stuff. So all the way down to nuts and bolts and everything, I'm trying to keep everything in the exact same order I got them. Nuts and bolts probably, in some cases like this case, don't really matter a whole lot, but I'm trying to be a little bit meticulous about it. There it is. And they're marked here too, I believe. Let's see. Keep that in there. Yep, number 3. So they are marked. Alright. Crank is out. Whew. big moment. So now I can finally look at cylinders, get pistons out, then get the camshaft out, tappets, and the rest of the valves and springs, and this will be an empty block. Alright, we're ready to take the camshaft out. I took the bolts out and it's loose, so it should come right out. And yep, there it goes. There's the camshaft. I'll have a machine shop take a look at it, find out if I need a new camshaft or if this can be reconditioned or what. But another big moment, got the camshaft out. I am pretty much almost ready for this motor to go to the machine shop. Or the block, I should say, to go to the machine shop. Have everything checked out. See if I can get it dipped so it'll be cleaned. Maybe magnafluxed so we can check for any cracks in the block. Check the head, check all the surfaces, make sure they're flat, all that stuff, get it all machined up. Find out what kind of pistons I'm putting in and get it bored or honed or both or whatever needs to happen. So that's pretty much the end of it. That should conclude engine disassembly. Next engine video is going to be putting her back together. So thanks, guys. Well, guys, turns out the motor, after taking it down to the machine shop, the block has been bored over too far, so the block is trash, and the head's cracked, and someone had welded on the crank in the journal where it can't be saved. So that motor is completely shot. There's a few parts I can still possibly use, but had to make a trip up to Kansas City, Colorado, and found a guy, very nice guy, with a bunch of motors and vehicles, and bought a motor from him. So tore that one all the way down, same process you just watched, and about ready to take it to the machine shop, and just crossing my fingers that there's nothing wrong with that one. So I'll let you know. Thanks.